Happy Friday, Smite fans. You are watching the Smite Challenger Circuit. We're over in EU to start off a long day of competitive Smite action. We've got some great SPL sets later on as well. One of them in studio, so you don't want to miss that. But first, we've got a matchup between the top EU team here in the SCC and then a team trying to challenge for that top spot. My name is Dolson. Mifflin is with me to kick off this fine Friday of Smite competitive action. Miff, excited to jump into things here, get the ball rolling on a fun day of Smite. And hopefully the EU SCC continues to live up to that competitive nature that we've seen.
I hope so, but there is a little bit of a shakeup in this set, Dave. I mean, it looks like we've got some wide sweeping roster changes. I mean, I got it on my screen right here. I don't know why I'm being coy, but this is not like the normal team comps. We'll get there a little later.
Yeah, we'll get there in just a little bit. First off, we'll see what the schedule looks like for this week in the SCC. We had one matchup in EU yesterday, a couple matchups in NA yesterday, all of them 2-0s. There is a chance that this one is a 2-0 as well. Elysium versus the Snake Hunters. Our final EU set of the week will be on Sunday before the SPL. And then tomorrow morning, prior to the SPL, Sturdy Artisans and Winter Dogs will round out this week in the North American SCC. Let's take a look at the standings now and see going into this matchup if there is any moving and shaking that can happen. Elysium, important to get a win here. Team Joystick got a win, 6-2 now for that team. They are tied in wins with Elysium, so Elysium with a win here will widen that gap up against Myth. Admittedly, a team that struggled, the Snake Hunters at 1-6. So you're going into this one assuming that Elysium are the favorites, and even more so, I think this week Elysium would be the favorites. You mentioned it earlier. We'll talk about Elysium in just a moment, but important, I think, to run down exactly what happened here with the Snake Hunters. This is a roster that is completely changed up. Vaporish Coast, Captain Odie, Rapio, Silence, Pretty Prime was the team that we had last time.
Wow.
That is not the team that we have this time for Snake Hunters. Worst Turtle, the Ray Shadow, Chekio, Mecha Black, and Wengu is going to be this new Snake Hunters team. So in the past, some of these guys have played with one another. But now you're coming into the SCC and you're going up against one of the best teams in the league. Going to be a difficult stretch here today.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, I'm not going to pretend to be completely familiar with the entirety of the European ranked scene, but I got to assume some of these guys are some ranked stars over there. In particular, I know that Chekio's got competitive history, as does Worst Turtle. They both played at the SEC level for a very long time, but they've got three players now that I have no idea about. I don't know anything about the Ray Shadow, Wengu, and Mecha Black. These guys could be name changes. They could be new talents to the SEC. All I know is they've got a lot to prove here today, especially considering who they're playing against.
Yeah, talk about a tough role, right? I mean, you're switching up your roster. You're coming into the SEC. Some have played together. Some have not. And week one, congratulations. Well, we're in like week 8 or something like that. But week 1 with your new roster, congrats. You get to fight against Elysium, a 6-1 team that has only lost one set. Of course, that's what 6-1 means here in the EU SEC. Spudio, Trix Tank, Angry, Adapting, and Terram. No surprise, Myth, that this team is on top of the EU SEC.
Yeah, these guys have been completely dominant. Plenty of SPL talent, some world stage contenders, some champions on this side as well. Elysium is a very stacked roster for the European SCC, and I think that it is reflected properly within their slash lines, man. These guys play confidently, and they play with purpose throughout every single one of these matches, and nobody's surprised. But the only surprise I think people can take away from this Elysium roster is that when you talk about these guys, you're thinking to yourself, all right, it's probably the Adapting Carry project, right? It's just him doing king stuff, and he is doing king stuff. But there's still plenty of talent in the wings. I mean, Terram is one of the lesser-known players on this team. He's had some great performances. Spudio as well, very strong out of that ADC role. I mean, every single one of these guys is exactly where they belong, and that's at the top of the EU SEC.
Yeah, Terram has really surprised me throughout this phase, and in a good way, of the EU SCC. Really stepped up in the solo lane in a meta where we started to see more of the bully in your face style picks. The RDOs have looked really good for Terram. Those styles of picks for Elysium have really worked. Angry as well out of the mid lane. Angry, I think, has really jumped out as a front runner here in the mid lane in the EU SCC. Let's see in picks and bans if Snake Hunters have a game plan going up against this Elysium team, because it's one of those teams, Myth, that everyone on the roster, right, deserves some level of respect. At some point, maybe you consider you got to ban against the tier list, because everyone has some pick here on this Elysium team that you're going to want to take away.
Yeah, I think the Snake Hunter's already removing that. Tiamat kind of reflects that strategy that you were bringing up. Let's go ahead and play against the tier list itself, and what better way to start than to remove Tiamat from the playable gods. Meanwhile, Elysium going to keep doing the exact same. Osiris and Odin going to be banned out. I'm not expecting too many direct targeted bans from Elysium side, just because there's just not a whole ton of name recognition with this new Snake Hunters roster, which means that you don't really know what you're going to target ban out.
Yeah, it's a good point. You know, I think on either end of the threat spectrum are these tier list-esque bans.
Wait, what are the ends of the
on
spectrum?
One end, every single player on a team is terrifying, and they all have picks that you want to ban away. On the other end, you're not scared of any player at all on the enemy team, and so you're just going to ban against the tier list. In the middle, when there's a few players that are really good, then you can maybe start target ban a little bit more. But if everyone's scary or no one's scary, you're just taking away the good stuff. Somewhere in the middle there, Myth, is when you're starting to target out players. That was pretty good by me. That was some
You can't just
Share
gas
too?
your own analysis.
Yes, I can. What do
I
you
was
mean?
going to gas you the second you stopped talking.
Man, so here's this spectrum, right? And really good, really bad, somewhere in the middle. What do you think about that one, Myth?
That's honestly, yes, that's pretty cool. I
Appreciate you, Myth. Thank you very much. I will gas up my tank and roll on with picks and bans. Let's catch back up here. Hell, Khepri, Cullen for Elysium. Some strong controlling picks there in the first three. Cerberus, Pele, and Raijin, though, Myth. Interesting. I want to latch onto this Pele here a little bit. Cerberus and Raijin, no surprise. Pele, though, maybe a bit out of nowhere.
Yeah, Pele is very interesting. Again, I believe that the SCC is played on that 8.8 bonus balance, so these traditional assassins aren't really directly in the meta right now, but Pele...
SPL's on the new patch.
It is.
Oh.
No spoilers for the SPL. Pele, though, I think is kind of in
exciting.
this interesting little middle ground where you can go towards that Mannequin Scepter in the first slot. You can play this auto attack style and try and find your value there. Just utilize the additional movement speed from the third ability as a pseudo slow, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if the enemy's slowed or if you're going faster. At the end of the day, you're still landing your auto attacks. But Pele is volatile. If you fall behind on this god, all of a sudden your ultimate's just an escape. All of a sudden your 3 is just an escape. It's very hard to engage.
Right.
Your ranged poke isn't very good. So I'm expecting the Snake Hunters to either dominate throughout the early, which they have the potential to do with this draft, or get dominated, full stop.
Yeah, the problem is if we go back to the pick ban spectrum here, I think the Elysium team are on the...
Just keep going to that well.
Yeah, right. Well, look, it's full of water right now, and so I'm gonna keep pumping it out while it still has some value. Elysium are on the everyone's terrifying side of the spectrum, and so getting... This is not biased, right? This is just odds. This is a 95%er for Elysium. You have to figure it's a new looking roster here for the Snake Hunters. Snake Hunters, even with their old roster, their existing roster prior to this was 1-6. And Elysium are the opposite. This team has played together. They
Literally
have a lot of chemistry here.
6-1.
6-1. Spot on. The other side of the spectrum, you might say. Let's talk about this Elysium draft, though. Hell, Khepri, Cullen, Awilix, and Artemis. Awilix, you know, if you get a good engage here from Cullen, that's kind of where my eyes go. You get this big knock-up in the back line. You find the back line. Awilix is going to be able to pull those in. That 1-2 punch, the engage for Elysium. Looking pretty scary here in game number 1. Can the Snake Hunters upset the top dogs here in EU, or will Elysium make the Snake Hunters pay for loading in? TBD, and we'll find out here in game number 1. Doug joins us, of course, on the camera. Let's talk about that draft, though, Myth. Cullen, Awilix, Hell, Khepri, and Artemis. Pretty tried and true comp here for Elysium.
Yeah, Adapting is going to be the kind of sole proprietor of that early game aggression for his team. Angry is going to spend a lot of this time free farming in mid on this Hell, so it's all up to Awilix to act as that bridge into the late game. And well, that bridge is headed to the Holy Land, as far as I'm concerned. You've got Hell in the late game. You've got Khepri. I almost said Aurora, just because I associate Khepri with Aurora now. And you've got Artemis as well. I mean, that's incredibly scary, and it's not exactly a poor early game either. I mean, the dual lane of Elysium does have the potential to just kind of get blown out of the water thanks to the aggression of a Surcat support, but Abducted and Transgressor's Fate is just good. It's just a ton of CC lockdown.
Yep.
Artemis's poke is phenomenal as well. This game is teetering on a knife's edge as far as I'm concerned between these rosters. Either one could start to run away with it.
Yeah, Adapting, I think my eyes go there, Myth, for this Elysium team. Awilix, such a... I don't know if niche is the right word. Maybe it is. You know, you don't see it all that often in the current meta. relies on some setup from the rest of the team outside of what Adapting is going to be able to do on his own here as well. But Adapting the type of guy, I think, who likes these types of picks. Chekio walks forward. Angry does as well. Worst Turtle eyeing first blood, but the healing is there. Adapting gets the knockup. Worst Turtle walks away and walks back to the grave. Adapting trying to chase down Chekio here. There might be enough damage. It's a double for Adapting. We're a minute and 15 seconds in, and it is worst case scenario for Snake Hunters.
Look, man, that was a DPS race. Worst Turtle has Angry dead to rights, and then Adapting hits the knockup to peel out for this hell. And the second that happens, back up, heal up, and re-engage the team fight. You don't want to have a Wheelish free casting on you in the early. Tough stuff for the Snake Hunters, man. That is a huge loss throughout the early. I mean, you worded it perfectly, man. That is some worst case scenario level stuff.
Yeah, and Adapting now with a 2-0 start to this game. Worst Turtle about a level behind. Maybe you can re-engage onto Angry here. Somehow Angry took like a little bit of damage and then healed up. I guess Hell is annoying to play against there in the mid lane. Strong pick for Elysium. Angry has been able to shrug off what was a potential first blood and now grabs a couple of assists. So it's the next couple of minutes where Adapting, if you figure, can kind of take this game over. You're off to a great start. We've talked in past matchups, as you and I have casted together, that a couple of kills doesn't end the game. It's what you end up doing off of a great start here for Adapting. And on a pick like a Wheelix, you can really impact this game.
You really can. I mean, the early power spikes that you're afforded if he does elect to go towards that Jotun's Wrath, worth noting, Jotun's Wrath has not received the buff yet on the patch these guys are playing on, but is still an incredibly strong meta pick for a god like a Wheel. It's just a good stat stick, power, penetration, as well as CDR, all going to add up to a good time for Adapting out of the jungle. And considering First Blood double kill going his way, I mean, he might just have it here. I mean, just going to go ahead and purchase that holistically for the jungler. Instead, though, Brawler's Beat Stick, yeah, he doesn't need multiple cooldowns. He's looking to kill you on that first rotation of abilities. Look, nobody's winning a 1v1 up against Adapting for like the next 7 minutes probably, at least.
Yeah, a tough draw now. Worst Turtle in a spot where, of course, you want to be able to get aggressive on Pele, but if Adapting is there, I don't think you can. Chekio was level 3 coming back to lane here just a moment ago. Angry at level 5. So about a 1.5 level lead in the mid lane. Angry has been able to find. And over here in the solo lane, Myth, should be interesting to watch. Taram, we heaped some praise on this player in the pregame highlight reel for good reason. The solo lane has been one of the linchpins of this Elysium team and their success so far in the EU SCC. And I like the playmaking style that this Kilcullen solo lane provides. There is some playmaking, though, of course, with Ray Shadow here on the Cerberus. Could be a duel when the team fights start to break out.
Man, Adapting chasing Worst Turtle throughout the entirety of his jungle only stops because he gets shown on the wave, has to reset. I think had that wave not been there, he would have followed Worst Turtle all the way to the green buff and tried to kill him there. I mean, this is early aggression and bullying, disrespect from the king.
Oh no, level 5 is hit by Spudio and Trickstank, and Trickstank will pull Mecha Black in. And then the boar goes out and puts Mecha Black down in the dirt. No beads for the Circuit. No chance to live. Worst Turtle and Adapting dueling out, but maybe it's Adapting that'll feel more comfortable here. Some damage into the back of this. Pele and Angry rounds the corner. Elysium really starting to run away with things. 4 kills in 4.5 minutes. Now Angry on the board. Chekio watching for the red buff. Up and over Mecha Black. Goes Adapting. This is level 6. Excuse me, a Wheelix. I was going to say Circuit. No, Circuit is level 4. And it's a red buff invade on the back of a couple kills here for Elysium.
I can't believe Worst Turtle ulted aggressively there. Maybe Feather Step over him, blocks it, and that's why he lands in place. But gotta think he'd have been better suited just using that to get out of dodge. And then afterwards, Chekio walking up, Adapting actually perfectly, hovering around the wall, avoids being shown by the ward that Chekio throws over the wall, and nearly finds himself a second kill inside of that engagement. Adapting he's playing with confidence, man. And it looks good. I mean, he is clearly just playing this match however he wants. I'm not sure that Adapting has been tested a single time in the last 5 or so minutes. He's just kind of flexing.
Yeah. It's a fun watch. There's something about, I think Adapting has found a good balance for himself here with this Elysium team. Still able to compete, and he's doing it well. It's just fun watching this Elysium team play, and Adapting specifically. Starts off this game at 2-0-1. Really, that's culminated, Myth, in a 1-level lead in the jungle, but a 2-level lead out of mid. Angry has been able to build up so much farm, such an advantage over Chekio, and then a Rod of Tahuti first item for this Hell.
That's new.
Seems like any sort of pressure here in mid is going to be met with a lot of damage.
Yeah, a lot of damage, a ton of healing coming his way as well. I mean, Chekio's damage output is not a ton. He's equivalent level to the support of Elysium at this point. 6 on the Khepri to the 6 on this Raijin. Angry benefiting from a ton of farm in his favor, considering adapting has not split too much inside of mid. And maybe we see a fight here. Ward cleared out by Snake Hunters, and that should spell the end of it.
Look at that. Chekio takes a little chunk damage. That's just one little toss out there from the hell. Worst Turtle rounding the corner here. Could attempt to fight in mid. I'm not sure you want to do that. It's a 3-level lead now in the mid lane as we stand. Worst Turtle does, in fact, want to fight, but it's an abduct from Trix Tank. Angry walks away. Taiko drums are connecting onto this hell. Scarab's blessing there on the other end. Angry heals himself up, and so he'll walk away. Actually, maybe a fight that the Snake Hunters feel that they came out ahead of.
Yeah, they do get to walk away with their lives this time, but Angry's going to full heal pretty quickly, and he's back. Angry's back and in fighting strength, and where's Worst Turtle? He's limping on back to his tier 2 tower on the right-hand side. The Snake Hunters may have felt like they won that fight, but that was in the short term. It was evanescent, if you would. Elysium, they've got to be put down completely if you want to take them out of these games. I mean, the healing from Angry already, thanks to that Rada Tahuti in the first slot, is a little bit ridiculous.
Yeah, that's on me. I'm thinking, okay, you got Scarab's blessing, and so maybe that's a win. Yeah, but you also spend Pele, Raijin, and Serket ultimate to try to get a kill onto Angry. So ahead in the sense of pressure, behind in the sense of ultimates over the next couple of minutes. There is a ward here that'll spot out Adapting and Spudio. As Adapting has made his way to the left side of the map, there's a purple buff respawning here shortly. And so fighting around Adapting and maybe even Spudio, always going to feel good here for this Elysium team. That's a very difficult character to catch. I'm not sure Wangu and Mecha Black have the ability to do so. Over here on the right, though, Myth, things have been quiet in the solo lane. That's allowed Tarim to build up a 1-level lead. The Runic Shield certainly will help out up against Cerberus, but there's more diving happening in mid. Angry jumped on. Could it be a kill here for the Snake Hunters? No, it's not. Not just yet. Angry sent on back, but Angry takes one with him into the grave. Now Chekio will have to use the Taiko drums, but Adapting has got plenty of damage, just walks on into it. The fear away might save Chekio's life. There's a Thunder Crash away, but now Tarim rotates in from solo and adds another.
And now Ray Shadow going to try and match that presence, but instead getting jumped on in mid. Has to use the beads early on and should be able to walk himself out of here. Snake Hunters, it may have been 1-for-1, but it's 6-for-1 so far as the top of the screen is concerned. And take a peek at this gold. Was just 2,000 a moment ago, leaking its way towards that 3,000 mark. Experience approaching 4, and we're not even double digits in the numbers just yet. I mean, we're 9 minutes into this game.
Yeah, Elysium still feeling comfortable, a 1-for-1 trade. You know, getting a kill onto Angry, definitely good here for the Snake Hunters. 3-level lead has become 2-level lead, so trending in the right direction. Unfortunately, literally every lane on the map is at least in a 1-level discrepancy right now. I mean, no two ways about it. You're fighting from behind for the next few minutes if you're the Snake Hunters. But, you know, Elysium Myth, they're the type of team that will have a lead like this and they will push it. The Snake Hunters are going to be hard-pressed to slow things down and delay things. All this scrapping in the mid lane seems like it's just going to be the start of it. Adapting, if he so chooses, can effectively start a fight anywhere.
And now Gold Fury spawned up. Pyroman's going to be spawning up very shortly here as well. So Elysium, who has been forcing engagements on nothing, now has a goal to set for themselves. They can go to one of these POIs and force the Snake Hunters to either try and put up a defense and take a fight where they are heavily disadvantaged, or let the objective go down and be further disadvantaged.
Let's see what Tarim can get done here against 3 Stygian Torment onto Tarim. So there's going to be a lot of damage onto this Cullen. 3-man root on the backside. That's buying a lot of time for Elysium to get in. Scarab's blessings there on the other end as well. And Tarim will survive, and watch out because Adapting and the boys round the corner, and they're about to rout the Snake Hunters. 2 down already. Adapting does end up falling. And that's a fight where you feel like you can get this kill onto Tarim. Tarim just survives, and Elysium make it a 2-for-1.
Yeah, that Khepri ultimate just immediately crushes the forward momentum of the Snake Hunters. Adapting, sees a lot of low HP targets. It's like a 3-man feather step, drops them all down to about 20% HP, and when you're using that level of aggression against that many people, kind of leaves you high and dry. No feather step, no damage immunity, and no chance for Adapting to walk out of that one. Snake Hunters, again, able to find at least one return kill, but Elysium not slowing down this growing gold lead whatsoever, and now in the Gold Fury, we could be talking 5,000 at the 10-minute mark.
Yeah, we're getting real close to it, and that's what I mean by Elysium and their ability to just continue to push these games. You know, you get a small lead, you make it bigger, and Elysium are going to continue to do that here. Angry has been a big beneficiary here, 3-1-3. We've talked about the continued level lead in mid. We learned last time, Snake Hunters, that Terrum will get 3-man dove and extend his life a little bit further. I'm not sure 2 is going to get things done here. Attempted steal onto the blue buff, unsuccessful, but still putting pressure on Snake Hunters and keeping that team guessing about where they are. On the other side of the coin, Myth, Czechio has been the beneficiary of all the pressure, right? You know, Angry is at 3-1-3, 1-3-1. On the other end of the spectrum is this Raijin here. And look, Raijin scales pretty well into the late game. Keeping this pick down seems to have been the name of the game for Elysium.
Seems to have been, but Raijin also has the early game advantage over Hell inside of mid, so Elysium, having found that double kill first blood on second wave in mid effectively, kind of cuts the Snake Hunters at the heel there. I mean, they aren't able to utilize one of the stronger bits of their draft throughout the early worst total as well. Was supposed to act as that bridge and was not quite capable of doing so. Yeah, finds himself now 0-4, down 2 levels on adapting inside of the jungle. Snake Hunters, it feels like they came into this set, they had a decent plan, the composition can work out, but they just weren't quite ready to match up against Elysium.
Ooh, Trixtank misses the root and the abduct. Adapting, seeing he found a knock-up onto Worst Turtle, who will end up walking away. But this jungle is ours. Say Elysium, and this Pyromancer might be theirs as well. 4 members of Elysium group up on it. Ray Shadow rotating over from the solo lane. We'll put some eyes on the objective. Yeah, but you're not fighting at this point if you're the Snake Hunters over a lowly Pyromancer. Instead, you're going to watch it go down. Can we get some pressure on the other side of the map? Wengu and Mecha Black would like to think so. But Spudio plays safe enough. And the duo lane that has now become the solo lane on the left side of the map will continue to be left alone. Unless Trixtank finds an engage here, but Czechio will have to use the beads.
He uses the beads very defensively there. Skittish is how I describe that play. Czechio was in very low risk of getting engaged on, could have just held on to the beads until Abduct comes through, and then you've at least put Trixtank out of position. This time, though, he just gets your relic for a 12-second cooldown early on in the match, and now Czechio is going to be forced to play very defensively inside of mid. Luckily, does tick over to level 12 now,
nice.
So we'll have Aegis to keep him alive in the next fight.
Trixtank is able to pop the bubble there, and so get some value out of the Abduct, despite it not connecting onto Mecha Black as far as the CC goes. So Elysium now at a point, Myth, you're 13.5 minutes in. There's a Fury spawning in a couple of minutes. Pyromancer still a few minutes away. It's these lull periods where the lead can really grow or it can stabilize a little bit. If Elysium continue to play forward like this, they might be able to grab a couple of extra kills. But no surprise, Snake Hunter's playing somewhat safely. Angry is not. He's tier 1 tower diving on his own. Scarab's Blessing is there. Will the DOT proc it? Yes, it will. Pulls Angry all the way back, and Trixtank on point with the ult.
Yeah, Angry hits half of his heals and still puts himself above half HP. Look, the Snake Hunters have to work so hard to deal with this draft from Elysium. It's not just that Elysium is one of the more veteran teams here within this league, but it's also that they've got an incredibly annoying composition, and Wengu on the receiving end might have to use that ult defensively. Instead, holds onto it, just loses the beads.
That's right. Well, so there's no boar now. Worst Turtle getting aggressive onto Angry. Has done a little bit of damage. Aegis is there. Angry dodging out a whole lot of it, but Adapting is here, and Adapting will help save out his mid lane. Worst Turtle back around the corner here, spotted out by a ward, half HP. And the collapse from Elysium is here, and it is swift. Worst Turtle quick, though. Can probably delay things out here a little bit longer. There's no fighting happening elsewhere, so this is the most exciting thing we've got going on the map right now. Worst Turtle chooses death under the tier 2 tower, and Adapting's got his third.
Hey, at least he's able to strip away some farm. Czechio gets deleted. Legitimately deleted. 500 damage from the third ability, and then
what in the world?
Overkill with the first. Yeah, I mean, that's what Ratatouille in the first slot's able to do for you, man. This is nuts. I'm going to call it early here, Dave. 99%er for Elysium. Are you a betting man?
No, we already discussed a little bit prior to break what Aggro and I's bet is this weekend, and I was very reluctant to take that one. I would argue that if you're about to ask me to bet that the Snake Hunters win this game, it's a similar bet to what Aggro's made me take this weekend.
Oh, well, for the fans at home, you got to tell them what it is.
I don't know if I don't know what aggro's goal is on releasing that, and I don't want to make aggro.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to make aggro angry is what I was.
You don't want to make aggro.
Right, I don't know what I was.
You could have just done that.
I'm all tongue-tied this morning. Yeah, and so we'll see. Stay tuned, right? You got to tune in to find out what the bet is. We got to build some suspense here around aggro and my bet here this weekend. But if you're asking me to bet that the Snake Hunters win this game, I will not, because Elysium, not the type of team to fumble away a lead like this. Stygian Torment countered out a bit by Terram there. The tower is still swinging away. It needs one last auto attack, but instead all the damage is going to go into the characters on the Snake Hunters. Angry's got a double kill elsewhere on the map. Could be a triple kill. Is Angry alone here? No, Spudio's died, so it was a 2 versus 3 it looks like. And still one Elysium come out ahead of nearly the map-wide deicide will be if Angry can close this gap. He won't be able to, but still a 4-kill swing for Elysium.
Yeah, Wangu gets to walk out with his life, and he is the one silver lining of the Snake Hunters right now. 0-0-1 for the Hachiman, has not fallen just yet. But Elysium, I think they're on a good trajectory to knock him down at least once. Yeah, well, what's up?
All right, so I think Elysium are going to win this game.
Okay.
Are you willing to bet that the Snake Hunters win this game?
All right, what's the action? Like, what are we talking?
All right, well, this is good. We can tie analysis into our bit here. What would it actually require? This is a good indicator of how lopsided you feel like this game is. What would it require for you to bet that the Snake Hunters win?
Can I be perfectly candid?
Like I might get $1 from you, but you've got to get like 1,000 from me, right? Like that's got to be the odds we're looking at.
It's pretty crazy. I would say that someone from Elysium has to DC for minimum 6 minutes.
You think even in a 4v5 Elysium run away with this game pretty handily?
Depends on who the DC. If it's a permanent DC and it's Trix tank, I think Elysium still win this.
I guess Angry and Spudio just won a 2v3 on the left side of the map.
I think they're good. I think they could do just about no wrong.
We'll see what the 2v1 looks like. Wangu uses the disengage, has ultimate. Unfortunate, we're about to see some serious damage there. Angry taken low. This would be a great first pick in this fight. Chekio finds the first kill, and it's onto the priority target. Snake Hunters suddenly have some wind in their sails. Adapting goes down as well. And it's the 2 most fed targets on Elysium that fall early on in this fight. But who am I kidding? Terram will still run down. Chekio falls on the back end.
That's a no-win situation for Chekio. Applies the Raiju to try and find the slow. Terram pops his reflect and says, look, if you hit me, you apply the slow, you're dead. If you don't hit me, you don't apply the slow, and I'm going to kill you with the dot damage around me, the ticking damage of the Rage transformation. That's a no-win situation for Chekio. But Snake Hunters do show a bit of fight back here, Dave. You're looking a little concerned now.
I'm concerned about my $1,000.
Yeah, and I'll be taking that $1,000, by the way, that nice little stack.
You'll be putting it on the next game, right, for Elysium to bounce back. No, look, I guess, you know, it's always difficult to find routes back into games like this where things are so lopsided. But advantageous trades where you're killing Adapting and Angry, the 2 playmaking players so far for Elysium, those are trades that you'll take. But you got to do it again and again and maybe again and again a couple more times if you're the Snake Hunters to get back to a state of being even here. Now that we're all back on the map, there's a Fury there, there's a Pyromancer there, there's a Fire Giant there. This is maybe the type of opportunity where Elysium can take any fight they want. You're going to start things up here. If Snake Hunters show up, you're feeling confident about winning the team fight.
Doesn't seem like the Snake Hunters are even going to show up. Mecha Black turns the corner, says, hey guys, I'm level 12 now, you have to respect me, but it just so happens that I'm also alone. Elysium going to pick up the Oni Fury absolutely for free. Mecha Black standing at a distance and staring menacingly was the only pushback from the Snake Hunters there. Maybe Chekio clears out a mid-wave and not even going towards the Pyro. Might have put themselves in a bad position.
Chekio gets a Thunder Crash canceled out by Adapting, and then the second attempt doesn't go any further. Adapting back from the grave puts Chekio right back in his place. Ray Shadow throws up the Stygian Torment. We'll try to walk away from this one, but yeah, no real chance here. There's just way too much CC, and another 2-kill swing for Elysium might open the door to a fire.
Wangu in some trouble on the left-hand side. Ultimate still available to Spudio, as it is to Wangu as well. But no Hunter on the right. Might not change much up here. 4-member stack of Elysium. Terram starts the Fire Giant. Everybody else does the Pyro.
Everyone else does the Pyro. Terram realizing slightly different pages. Are Elysium, are they off kilter? They're clearly on the wrong page there. I don't know what happened to this team, man. Normally they're so clean with their shot. Okay, here we go. Right back to the Fire Giant go. Elysium don't have their Hunter here. I'm not sure it matters all that much. Angry will be able to sustain up the tanks who are tanking up most of the damage. Spuddio will rotate back out from base. Wengu on the left. Worst Turtle rotating into mid. Should be a clean, free, and easy FG here for Elysium, and this is really where this game breaks open. You've got...
This is it? This is where it happens, Dave?
No, I mean, the game is already broken open. This is where the game starts to sunset. There we go. That's the word
What does
I'm
that
looking
mean?
for. It starts to come to a close.
I see.
You know, we were at high noon, you know, a few moments ago. Suddenly the sun's starting to set here on game number 1. If it wasn't already. There's only one tier 1 tower left, and that's on the left, and it is barely standing. An exposed Phoenix on right, and Worst Turtle being soloed by Spuddio might just end this game.
Well, luckily for Worst Turtle...
How's your $1 feeling over there, Miff?
It's tough, man. I'd really looked forward to that soda I was going to buy later today. Worst Turtle at least should respawn by the time we start knocking on the door of these Titans. Once these Phoenixes start to look to be sieged, Worst Turtle should be alive and ready to put up some sort of defense there. But Elysium are looking at a 8,000 gold lead. Chekio's dead in mid. Adapting just kind of did it casually. Didn't even use the ultimate.
Where are you finding $1 soda? It's all $1.25 minimum. No way you find a soda for $1.
Are you kidding?
Wengu uses his ultimate here. That's a big bit of escape. That's now down McDonald's. Jithrin's right. Yeah, Jithrin's our resident soda expert. Will let us know where all the sodas are for $1. Angry chunks Wengu down to about 10% HP. Mecha Black wants to go in. Why? Why, friend? Why? Why are we going in? He'll dash right back out. I guess you have to put up a defense somewhere, and here is a better time than any because Elysium can just group on up here. Walk down now all 3 exposed Phoenixes. And sunsetting, we might be reaching midnight. We're beyond the sunset, especially if Elysium continue to fight.
Mid Phoenix going to fall down expeditiously as Raid Shadow finds Trix Tank with the Stygian Torment, and that's it.
Adapting pulls him right back in, though. Adapting on a killing spree. 726 for the jungler, 725 for the mid laner. Raid Shadow goes down. I think Snake Hunter's going down here in game number 1. Elysium playing with their food just a little bit here. Let's see what more kills can happen. Worst Turtle actually nearly gets a kill onto Adapting, who now has Wengu looking at him, but who am I kidding? Angry is there. And that'll help one out. Spuddio grabs another. Chekio and Wengu. Yeah, you want some damage, but you need some tankiness. In the fountain he goes and into the grave. Immediately on the other side. Tycho drums. Won't make anything interesting. Elysium mop the floor with Snake Hunters in game 1.
Spuddio just padding his damage a little bit towards the end of this game. Wants to make sure he sits at the top, and actually farming up all that damage inside of the fountain will put him at the top of the damage chart. So when we do get to the breakdown after this, everyone at home, when you see top damage from Artemis, just know it was fake. It wasn't earned, and Angry carried that game.
How is that fake?
Because he farmed it in the fountain, Dave. A guy who was literally healing non-stop. Okay.
He was close enough through the other 99% of the game to get to the point where you can take
He landed like
damage.
20 auto attacks there.
Oh, in the fountain, you mean?
In the fountain.
Well, Miff, see, my eyes are on the Titan because that's the important part of the game, so I missed the damage farming happening.
Well, then why'd you argue with me?
I don't know. Because I like to be contrarian. I'm feeling sassy this morning. It's 11:33 a.m. and Elysium destroys Snake Hunters in game 1. Mifflin is about to pay me $1 in the break because he bet on Snake Hunters mid-game there, but terrible bet by you, Miff, to bet on Snake Hunters mid-game. Elysium take game 1. We'll break this one down right after this break.
Wait, what did it win?
You win the respect.
You're telling me an alien wore this?
Perfect. Okay.
Okay, that was a good cut.
Messaging him to mute.
The best graphics you really need, ultra, of course, and I can probably watch a stream on the side.
Content's gonna look good.
Pretty good, pretty good.
Yeah, so 667 is actually the
Okay.
weakened number.
Yeah.
He did that in an Odin game, and that's why that video showed 667 dislikes, just making sure you got the Smite history. So.
No, I'm glad they came to my single there, so you could see the death in my eyes as Mifflin picks things up there after our quick break. Elysium off to a hot start here, and as that ad showed us the dislikes, nice small touch there from our video team 667 on the dislikes bar. If you want to check that video out, head on over to the Smite Pro YouTube channel. Smite VOD is where you want to go for all the old games. If you want pro content, as well as, what'd you do, Miff? The rundown with Don Zaburo, play
Grand
guides,
Master
things
class.
like that. Grandmaster class is
Nailed
what
it.
I'm looking for. Interviews, all those sorts of fun things with the SPL pros, all available at youtube.com/SmitePro. Miff, we have reached the breakdown time. We are officially there. And game number 1 is, 22 minutes long. Look, Adapting walks mid at level
2.
2,
Yep.
and you get a double kill.
Yep.
And Angry takes that game over. Is that where this one starts?
It's definitely where it starts. I'd say the game kind of ended around the 8-minute mark. I mean,
this
wow,
is
that's
brutal.
actually a really good clip for it. Angry does trade out his life, but at the end of the day, the team fight does go 3-for-1 in favor of Elysium. That really felt like we're the gold lead.
This is
started
gross.
to balloon out of control as well. Yeah, that's 1,000 damage and 2 abilities in like sub 2 seconds. Look, man, the point of interaction for the Snake Hunters was, I suppose, at that 2-minute mark, and they missed it. They missed their point of interaction, and they weren't allowed to play the game afterward.
And this is actually, I'm glad we got that replay because there was a fight happening elsewhere, and then Angry and Spudio 2v3'd. It did get to the point. It was that second wave of jungle objectives, the Fury, the Pyro, and the Fire Giant, where you kind of knew that this game was going to end because Elysium could just walk for them and take any single fight that ended up occurring. And that's exactly what happened here. And so this is a look at this is some data for you for hell out of the mid lane. If you're going to get a great lead, you're going to be farming up a lot. Angry farmed plenty of damage in the fountain there at the
No,
end.
he killed somebody. Farming damage in the fountain is when you hit someone and they don't die. He killed someone before they got to the fountain.
9, 2, and 6. So Angry died twice as many times as Spudio. 2, 1, and 2. I'm kidding.
What
here,
is this hill?
I don't know. I don't know what this hill is. Angry, clearly the one who runs away with this game. Second to top damage by 400, though, as Spudio does auto-attack a little bit in the fountain there. Spudio, look, he did play a great game, but this is a 1-2 punch between Angry and Adapting. And then the rest of Elysium get ahead. Tarim, I think, a quiet but great game on that Kulkullen. And look, you go into this game, Snake Hunters have kind of rebuilt a roster almost entirely in 1 week. It's a totally new look at a team that was already struggling anyway. You're going up against probably the worst possible team to go up against on the end of a week like that. Elysium are always going to be favored, at least in game 1. Is there a way to draft effectively, Miff? And maybe picks and bans for game 2 will let us know. Is there a way to draft effectively against a heavily favored team? You know what I mean? Like, is there a defensive way? Is there a team comp you can build that maybe evens the score a little bit up against a team that's just going to run you down?
So there have been points in my own personal competitive career where I would line up against a team and I would know definitively they're better than us.
They're better, sure.
They're just better. I mean, individual player skill, macro play, micro play, doesn't matter. They're better at every facet of the game. So what's the only facet of the game that you load into that you're going to get to play every single time? It's
Level
the
one.
early.
Yeah.
It's the early game. So if you draft for incredible early game pressure across the board, occasionally in Smite, just thanks to Snowball, you're going to win some of those games. I mean, if you're running it down with just W key gods at level 2, there is the potential to find upsets. Some people would say, well, what if we just play super passive and draft for the late game and go for one of these hyper carry styles, maybe like a Chronos Kali composition? That doesn't work. You don't get to the late game. That's not a guarantee.
Sure.
The only guarantee is that you get to play the early. So if I'm Snake Hunters in this situation and I got blown out of the water so hard that I legitimately wasn't allowed to play a game and I still had to stare at my screen for 22 minutes, I'm drafting early game. I'm talking Erlang, Shen. I'm talking Osiris. I want some Raijins. I mean, give me a double warrior dual lane for as far as I'm concerned here, man. But like, Snake Hunters has to change something up, and I think they do change at least one thing up very well inside of the bans. No more hell for Elysium.
And no more Kepri, because there were a few moments where Trix Tank saved the life of what would have otherwise been a kill for the Snake Hunters, and so it'll have to be different in mid, have to be different in support for Elysium here in game number 2. Ardio doesn't get me all that excited, though, if I'm the Snake Hunters. I'm very excited if I'm Terrorum and I'm playing Ardio, because Ardio has that run it down and still survive King Arthur play style to it. And so a great start here, I think, for Elysium. This would be an interesting lock-in, and it locked in it is. And so Aposhmith, for the first time in the EU SCC, comes out here in game 2.
Yeah, some fun experimentation here for the Snake Hunters on the other side.
Are you saying that through like gritted teeth?
No, dude, this has potential to be very good. So you struggled in the early game last time around on a very strong early game mid lane mage inside of Raijin. Has Thunderclap as well as the first ability at level 2 to engage or disengage fights. Now you're playing Opwash. You're immobile. You don't really have a whole ton of sustain inside the lane unless you're willing to go up in a melee range to pick up your corpses. You've picked it into a barely what I would consider a healing composition. Sure, Ardio does apply heals inside of the team fight, so maybe you're going to be able to find the stun off the third ability from Opwash. But there is a reason this god does not see a lot of play outside of Assault, and that's because you're allowed to pick your god outside of Assault.
You caught me off guard there, Miff. That was a good one.
Oh, thanks, man.
There's a reason he never gets played. Because you have to play him when you might low roll and get it in Assault.
He's actually pretty decent in Assault, low key.
Right. Well, you get that nice big ultimate, and you know, all the anti-heal. If there's healing on the other team, which you've said there's a little bit, but not all that much. Soul sometimes builds into into healing. Maybe, but you can probably avoid that if you really want to. Look, I'm trying to find anything here for Opwash in game 2. Loki, I think, is an interesting pick here, Miff. For a while, Loki was the pick. Kind of faded out. Now there's a handful of players that still look towards Loki. Mercury, maybe you can say the same thing about it. But I am nervous now that this immobile Opwash, and you could even consider Artemis immobile once the ultimate's down. Mercury and adapting feel like they're going to have kind of a free ticket to the backline.
Yeah, whoever this Mercury is ulting, and he can come from his own tower, by the way, it's going to be a pretty free kill between the long lane and the mid lane. I mean, if this is going to be solo Sobek, we'll get a better look at this. Now, all right, Snake Hunters, again, experimenting with their draft here. Just limit testing in a game 2 situation. Thoth going to be locked in, so that means more than likely we're looking at Opwash solo, Thoth mid, Loki jungle, Artemis Sobek inside of the duo lane. So you don't have a front line.
So maybe Opwash is not going to get jumped on as much if you stick him on the other side of the map.
I would argue you jump on him more. It's way easier to play safe.
Who's he playing it? Oh, he's playing against an Ardio?
Yeah, he's playing against Ardio, and there's a Mercury jungle.
So there's a small window, right, Miff, maybe at the beginning of the game where he's going to feel okay against Ardio?
Yeah, for like the first
couple of levels.
For the first level.
For the first level, we'll see. Level 1, that's the only place you start every single game of the Snake Hunters.
Let's go!
Load into this one. Yeah. I don't know, Miff. We'll see. Ray Shadow on the Opwash going up against Terram on this RDO. I admire the creativity. I'll say that much at least. I admire the creativity here for the Snake Hunters. And maybe that's how you catch a great team like Elysium off guard.
Yeah, man, you gotta keep them guessing. You know, they don't know exactly how to play these matchups. How much experience do you think realistically Terram has in the Ardio versus Opwash lane?
I would say like 3 games, maybe.
3 games total in his like 8-year-long career. I'm not sure how long.
That's
exactly.
right. There's no chance I'm betting on Terram in this one. You know, he's only played against this matchup like thrice.
Yeah, no, this is Ray Shadow all the way.
How much do we think Ray Shadow has played the Opwash versus Ardio matchup?
I would argue more often than Terram's done the inverse.
Because we think Ray Shadow's played the Opwash.
Gotta think. If he's done it like 4 times in the last week, he's got Terram beat. Because there's a pretty high chance he's laning against Ardio if you're loading into a solo lane game. In the last couple months.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see if the experience of Ray Shadow on the Opwash versus Ardio is enough to carry that matchup forward. This doesn't feel great. Angry has already gotten Chekio down to about 200 health, adapting his full HP, and so sometimes we see these 2v2 mids at level 2 We won't see it this time. The mid lane just not healthy enough for the Snake Hunters to step forward and fight. Instead, Worst Turtle will rotate on back to the green buff. The back Harpies get taken there as well. And Elysium will get some pressure in mid.
Dave, I had forgotten that each one of these individual blocks on the HP bars, like below their names, is 100 HP until you said that. That's maybe something not many people realize at home. So there you go. There's your TIL today.
You are welcome.
Thanks.
No problem. If Adapting walks into the mid lane, Chekio does return some damage there. If there's anything we can realize, it's that Adapting might need a little bit of time to wheel himself up on this Mercury pick. And once he hits that level 5 mark, though, that's when mid, hell, even solo and duo have to keep their eyes open. Sometimes we see a team overextend. They put a ward between Tier 1 and Tier 2 tower just so you can sense Adapting walking forward on that side of the map. But you're rolling the dice every time you step forward that nobody on the other team is going to be there to call you out on it. 5 sets of beads here for Elysium Myth. And so there's going to be plenty of engage and plenty of CC immunity. Uh-oh. It is over in the solo lane where we'll see our first gank. And the Apwash walks away.
Congratulations.
Apwash walks away.
Wins that one because he lived, I suppose. I mean, that's about as high a roll as you can expect from Apwash solo at this phase of the game. Maybe after a couple of levels, he can have some fight back. Once his ultimate's available, surely he can make it a little bit harder for those ganks to ring true. But take a peek at Adapting's build here, Dave. He's going towards crit in that very first slot. I'm thinking it's likely going to be a Rage unless he's having a little bit of fun. Could be like a Deathbringer. Purple buff going to be secured this time, and Trixtank in some trouble.
4v1, sprint gets used, beads out on the pluck, but there's a slow on the other end. Trixtank's going to get piled on here. First blood on over to the Snake Hunters, and it's Worst Turtle who strikes pay dirt. So you lose your purple, but you gain a first blood in return. Trixtank just a bit overextended. This will give Spudio some free solo farm here. Bit of an XP lead in the duo lane.
Yeah, unfortunate, man. Trixtank has to utilize that leap to steal it because Fafnir's hammer does not go through Gods. Adapting, locking eyes with Ray Shadow, just being annoying, and that's what you open yourself up to when you play Apwash inside of the solo lane. The jungler is going to put a target on your back and see if maybe he can strip away a little bit more farm, but look at that damage output, man. Why is Adapting even trying, bro? Apwash, too strong.
Myth, I'm getting the idea that you're not a huge fan of this Apwash solo lane thing.
What? No, Dave, I'm an impartial, unbiased third party.
Well, here's the thing. You're only biased as Ultimate comes out. This time Adapting won't make any mistakes. Terram won't either. That's a dash on in, and Apwash will go down. It's only biased if you're rooting for like a team to win over the other. If you think a pick is bad, that's analysis. That's analysis,
I
right? See. You're allowed, but as long as you say, I'm glad. As long as you don't say, I'm glad Snake Hunters have this bad pick because I want them to lose. That's biased, right?
I see.
But if you think Apwash is not a good pick, you're allowed to say that.
So if I say Snake Hunters likely going to lose here because their picks are bad, and I like that because I don't like bad picks, is that biased?
Yeah, you're stepping in some real weird territory there, man.
Gray zone.
Yeah, he is definite gray. It's the I like that on the other end. When I think
I like that.
Yeah, things get a little gray there for you. Wengu takes a lot of damage here from Spudio and Trixtank, so the Artemis will have to head on back to base after using the boar. And so it is Rage, first item overall here for Adapting Myth, and it's level 5 for the Mercury, right? We already saw the gank over to the solo lane. And so you got to look towards where the beads are down. Nobody will have the beads down as Ray Shadows come back up. And so stripping those beads away might give you an idea of where Adapting might make his gank happen next. Hell, you could maybe even make a gank happen with the beads up. And so Adapting will attempt to get some of those Rage stacks added up here, maybe around the red buff. Things will happen as a defense from the Snake Hunters comes on out. Trixtank will transform, leap away, and this time Trixtank will survive the invade attempt.
Angry and a little bit of trouble here. Chekio dashing forward, seeing if maybe he can return some damage, but instead it's Mecha Black who falls down this time around. Yeah, don't stand in front of a soul who's got full heat, all of her cooldowns, and a good form of CC thanks to the Fafnir hammer.
Yeah, Spear of the Magus helps Angry out there as well. Angry didn't even have to use the ultimate. So now Chekio under just a bit of threat. Be able to walk on back. So Trixtank makes some reparations for the earlier death that he found around that red buff. I just want to keep my eyes on Adapting. You feel like if you pick Rage up early, Myth, you're going to want to stay aggressive throughout the early game because you need to get those stacks built up to build that value.
Yeah, but already looking at a 1-level deficit up against Worst Turtle means that Adapting, who has been spending a lot of time looking for ganks, is going to continue to do so. Not a great
nice
option
beats.
here.
Whoa! What is the damage?
Never mind.
Adapting
he crit.
lives. And I think he leveled up as that tower was hitting him. And a 36 HP is all he needs. So there is a crit from Adapting and 1 stack now on the Rage.
He crit twice, Dave. I wasn't expecting it, man. I wasn't expecting the Meiju look to crit, and then afterward the auto attack to crit as well, and I'm sure Wengu probably unhappy with that one as well.
That was a gross amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, he hit him for like 602 attacks.
Yeah, that was kind of
fair.
nuts. And we can look at the ticks on the health bar to determine how much of his HP that 600 was. So Adapting off to a great start here again. Remember, Adapting drove a lot of that early game in Game 1, starting to do so here again in Game 2. Already has a stack on the Rage.
Wind Demon.
And halfway back to his ultimate. Wind Demon will be here shortly. I love that. I don't know. There's something fun about playing that build on the Mercury. Steal away from Wengu. I say a steal because it was Elysium's to take, and Wengu is able to self-protect, I believe, his own purple buff there. But it seems like this map is Adapting's for the taking now at this point. Once that ultimate comes back up, you got to watch out where that icon is on the map.
We're looking at a similar gold lead at the 7-minute mark as we were in Game 1. Generally, it was around this point that they were sitting at 2,000 in the next couple of minutes. If they're looking to maintain pace, I think at the 11-minute mark, we were looking at 5,000 in favor of Elysium. Gold Fury has spawned up, and with crit already starting to be built by Adapting. Got to think it'll burn down pretty quickly here. Ray Shadow.
Sustain in there.
Hey, look at that, man. He can use the corpses to heal after he gets accosted inside of the lane. That's pretty good. That's not bad.
This solo lane brought to you by Ray Shadow Legends.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's the bit, man. I think that's
It
it.
actually might be. Yeah, it could be. Yeah, Ray Shadow. Look, outside of a gank from Adapting, the Opwash has stayed alive in this lane, and that's about all you can ask for at this point. Especially when Terram has started to hit that pivot point, mask into Axe, and so there's plenty of pressure from Terram there as well. So the fact that Ray Shadow has survived. Thumbs up on the right side of the map. Gold Fury started up. Adapting is here. Crit in pocket. Elysium takes down the Gold Fury. And it was a bit of a coin toss there, but the coin lands for Elysium.
Yeah, Adapting only lands 2 crits on the Gold Fury itself, so he's unlucky in PvE, pretty lucky in PvP. We'll see if Wengu gets lucky on the escape, and he will this time. Just walks on out.
Has beads in 5 seconds. Has ultimate there as well, so maybe there's a return opportunity now. Strix Tank will attempt to go back to base. Throws an axe Wengu's way. Mecha Black looking for the pluck. Won't find the pluck. And the dual lane will live on. All right, so Adapting has his ultimate. He's heading on over to the right side of the map. There was a ward over by the blue buff. And this is where Ray Shadow has got to be careful. Unless Adapting gets spotted out here. He sure does. And now Ray Shadow knows that Adapting is on this side of the map. That's what we talk about. When you're playing up against this Mercury, you got to put some deep wards on the other side of the map. Or else the full lane sonic booms will be catching you off guard.
Yeah, we'll see whether or not that ward actually pays itself off here. Adapting could loop back around, just try and find that ultimate. Seems like Worst Turtle privy to it. Going to go ahead and try and
Worst
match
Turtle's
that
got an
rotation.
XP lead.
Yeah, he's got XP lead. He's had it.
Fully stacked Transcendence.
Yeah, things are looking all right for the Snake Hunters right now. If we're not talking about global experience and gold for the team, otherwise, it's mainly looking pretty good for Elysium.
That's right. Elysium, a couple thousand gold ahead. Big lead over in the dual lane. 2 levels is really where this game takes a pivot. Everywhere else on the map feels about as even as, or more even than it was in game number 1. And so the Snake Hunters have adapted. We've poked a little bit of fun at the draft, but if nothing else, this game is not as out of control as it once was in game 1. Sonic Boom, no good onto Wengu. Wengu does have the beads. Boar goes out as well. Sent on back is Wengu. Spudio is here for the damage, and Adapting grabs another stack on that Rage. Wind Demon soon to be completed. Angry will use the beads here as fighting continues in mid.
Chekio charging up the ultimate, actually cancels it in the last second. Thought maybe he had some kill potential. Meanwhile, speaking of kill potential, right-hand side, it's Ray Shadow struggling. But again, all that healing from just eating up your own corpses, pretty nice.
Yeah, if you're getting Tower Dove, Spudio 1v1 wins it up against Worst Turtle. Chekio sent some damage Angry's way. Looks like Final Judgment was used.
Whoa.
Dash forward, gets the root. Big play from Chekio. But some return damage from Angry could put this in a tough spot as Tarum rotates out of the solo lane. Adapting is here as well. Czechia walks to the side, and it's a killing spree for Adapting. Worst case scenario, back with the Wind Demon. 3 stacks on the Rage. Czechia will fall, but he takes one with him.
Maybe Mecha Black's going to go ahead and join him inside the base.
Crits.
2 crits back to back. If the hammer lands here, that could spell the end.
Crit.
Adapting.
There it is.
Pick it up, yet another kill. 4 on the board for the King right now. And Ray Shadow, no beads available, just going to head back inside of his tower where he spent the last 11
Well,
minutes,
that makes sense,
18
Smith. You
seconds.
talked about needing to get back into melee range to heal up. Maybe Ray Shadow just knows that the early to mid game is going to be spent under the tier 1 tower.
Yeah.
And so you're just chilling, putting the corpses at your feet anyway. You don't have to worry about walking up. All right, I've missed it. I've missed it. I was looking at you, and I've missed it. Adapting on a rampage. A fully stacked Rage at 11.5 minutes. Look, the writing was on the wall, wasn't it, when
game 1 was 22 minutes?
Yes, but also when Adapting picked up a Rage as first item in this game, you just knew that this Mercury had to get involved early and often, and involved he has been.
Yeah, Adapting off to a roaring start already, has decent penetration thanks to the Wind Demon, could be moving in towards the Stone Cutting Sword in the 3rd slot, or even the Serrated Edge if he so chooses, going forward. And Snake Hunters find themselves in a very similar position as they were in the last match, 12 minutes in. We're talking nearly 4,000 gold in favor of the Order team here. 8-2 is the slash line across the top, and I'm getting a sense of deja vu inside of this one. Elysium, they're starting to run away with it. Oni Fury going to be spawning in just under a minute. Pyromancer is still available. I mean, I'm pretty sure Adapting can legitimately 1v1 it at this point, or maybe we just take out Rage first.
Adapting right down Main Street, connects onto Ray
Cool,
Shadow.
400.
There's a big crit on the other end, and Aegis will only delay the inevitable. We are walking right on out of the ultimate there from Ray Shadow. 601 goes Adapting, and Myth, I think we are officially... So I called it a little bit late. I said when this game has been blown wide open. I think at the moment Adapting got a few stacks on that Rage is when this game really opened itself up. And you mentioned it, it's kind of the rotation through the neutral objectives where Elysium really put game 1 to bed. And we're starting to get to that point here already in game number 2. Especially if Adapting is just going to continue. Or do you really want to throw him back towards Worst Turtle? I'm not so sure. Worst Turtle gets spun on around. Uh-oh! Adapting gets shut down by Mecha Black here. Czechio dealing some good damage. Final Judgment finds its way into Tarum as well. There's a stun on the other side, and Tarum is not gone down. Will go down. Angry bursts down Worst Turtle. It's a 2-for-2 trade. Snake Hunter's maybe the best you could ask for at this point in the game.
Trixtank trying to continue that aggression, misses the secondary stun, so Czechio should be able to walk out of this one alive. We'll see if Trix can do the same. De-transform, gives him that leap back and available, avoids the root, and finally makes his way over the wall. But I'm not sure he's out of this one just yet.
Go Black. Could close this gap. Czechio could dash forward, find the root in this as well. And so, Myth, look, you're way down in this game, and you're able to find a 2-for-2 trade. I mean, you're far from out of danger, but you're now at a point where you think, all right, if a fight goes that way for us, maybe we can do it again. Some squishy targets on Elysium, and the Snake Hunter's able to find a decent fight.
So that was Pyromancer going the way of Elysium, and then they then decided to dive the Tier 2 tower on the right-hand side while Tier 1
Are you saying it's
still
more
standing.
than it was Elysium's fault?
Yeah,
less
and then
that Snake
Adapting
Hunters did something well.
late beads to Mecha Black's pull, so he's CC immune midair.
Oh, no.
Gets 0 value. We'll see what happens when he's playing on his own right. He will find the kill on a Czechio. Credit over towards Angry this time around. Elysium now in a position to go ahead and start the Oni Fury, and maybe I'm the one who's late on the call. Spudio already there.
There was a slight stumble there in the fight from Adapting and Elysium, but right back to it on respawn. Oni Fury for Elysium gets taken on up. Spudio that entire time was pushing down the left side of the map, and so able to go back, finish Silver Branch, get Tier 1 in that next item tree. Trixtank just wide on the hammer here. Worst Turtle and Mecha Black being looked at in the mid lane, and it's all about where Adapting is, and Adapting is right here, right behind his squad. Does not have Sonic Boom, but has the ability to find some damage with the Mage You Look. Can dash on in, send someone back there as well, but Adapting won't overextend this time. There's an overextension, though, if Worst Turtle... Oh, the read from Adapting is beautiful! Worst Turtle dashes on out as well. And Ray Shadow providing enough pressure to force Adapting back just for a moment. Beneath the Tier 2 tower goes Worst Turtle. Ray Shadow takes some damage from the Mercury. Angry finally gets a kill in mid. And Adapting and Terrorim will keep the Tier 2 tower for themselves.
Mecha Black with less than 30 HP, going to be able to head back to base here as Spudio continues his onslaught. Spudio versus the towers is the name of this game, and Tier 2 and mid, no exception to the rule. Chekio, though, the recipient of his rage this time around, falls down pretty quickly. Worst Turtle, who was able to make it back to base, is finally continuing the fight. And on the right-hand side, Ray Shadow falls for the third time. That's 3.
This was exactly what happened in Game 1, where there was this nice lead built up, and then eventually it got to a point where Elysium didn't even care about team fighting. They just split up because they knew that they were going to win every individual matchup, and they could run down every single lane on the map. I'll just, why don't we just 3-man Fire Giant at 16 minutes and still come close to winning the fight on the left. Worst Turtle, a nice play on the Spudio to get the kill. But, yeah, you got to be careful because Elysium doing the rest of the work on the FG. Trix Tank will die as well, a double kill for Worst Turtle. But Fire Giant still ends up going down for Adapting, Angry, and Terror.
Here's the thing. Had Trix landed the hammer on a Worst Turtle just dies. I mean, it might not have done the damage on its own, but the auto attack afterward would have been more than enough. Luckily, though, Worst Turtle takes the winning line, says, I don't care. I need to do something for the team. Does Adapting know? We'll see. Turns around the corner. Oh, no.
He does.
Oh, he knew. He knew the whole
He had
time.
an idea.
Oh, Wengu too? No way.
Oh my goodness. Adapting is playing with his food here. I mean, this is gross. You got Rage, Wind Demon, Serrated Edge, all the gap close you could want.
He's going Deathbringer.
Deathbringer. Right, because he hasn't been critting enough.
No.
And those crits haven't been hitting hard enough.
No.
So we need more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 9-1-2. That's clearly not good enough. You know, you zoom out of a matchup like this, you got to give all due credit to Snake Hunters when they load into the game. They found some moments in both of these games that have looked okay. This was always going to be an uphill battle. You know, this is one of those lopsided matchups, especially after all the roster changes that Snake Hunters went through. Elysium are the tried and true team here in the EU SCC. You had to know that this was going to be one that Elysium felt very comfortable in, and comfortable they have been. About 30 seconds left on Adapting's ultimate. Do you need it, though? Does Terrorim need it? Because you're 5v1ing, and Terrorim will still be able to walk on away. Worst Turtle goes in, actually, in the mid lane onto Adapting, who will dash away, gets rooted in place.
They got him!
They got him! They had to put a lot into it. But Adapting with that build, somewhat squishy. And Chekio's able to pick up maybe the highest priority target on the map.
Meanwhile, on the left-hand side, Left Phoenix going to get burned down pretty quickly here thanks to the efforts of Spudio and Trix Tank, but they find themselves surrounded.
I feel like Spudio just wins this one. Will Cavalry charge away? Oh no, I didn't see Chekio around the back. Can you weave in enough auto attacks to make things interesting here? Ray Shadow puts down some damage onto Spudio. Another nice kill from Chekio, but around the back go Angry and Terrorim. Elysium collapsed on here by the Snake Hunters. Terrorim tanky enough. There's still some damage coming in from Trix Tank as well. Angry gets whittled on down by Chekio, but Terrorim will take Wengu as a sacrifice. Elysium starting to crumble. Crumble's a bit dramatic. Fall once in a fight on the left side of the map. Falter, that's the word I'm looking for. The Snake Hunter's actually able to find a decent fight, and Myth at the forefront of these engagements is Chekio on the back, able to stay safe enough to get in that range damage.
So that was Adapting, attempting a 1 versus 3 in mid, and then we saw Terrorim attempting a 1 versus 5 in right. Spudio and Trix Tank attempt a 2 versus Phoenix alone, and then somehow, someway, Snake Hunters, against all odds in that situation, were able to return a couple of kills on the other side. Only one member now of Elysium with Fire Giant around his belt, and that is Terrorim, but that won't be for too much longer. That Fire Giant's going to respawn in just about 1.5 minutes here, so Elysium effectively slow themselves down. They slow it themselves down. They have to wait for this next Fire Giant to respawn before they can try and go for these Phoenixes yet again. Tier 2 tower still standing for Snake Hunters, so that is one bastion of safety for them to retreat to if they do decide to try and defend subsequent neutral objectives, be it Furies, Pyros, or Fires. But I don't love the Snake Hunters' odds in a neutral territory engagement. Instead, probably want to fight inside those Phoenixes.
No, yeah. Adapting has a very expensive build, and he's had no problem completing it. Rage, Wind Demon, Serrated Edge, and Deathbringer indeed. So my eyes still on this Mercury, if nothing else, because I want to see a 1,000 crit land onto one of the carries of Snake Hunters. 9-2-2. Adapting's not all that worried about it. Fire Giant will respawn here in just about a minute. Fury already gets taken down, and I don't think Elysium need the FG Mifflin, but you'll go over there, you'll complete it, and Snake Hunters have to choose if it's worth fighting over.
Yeah, I think the decision's kind of been made for them just by the golden experience.
Now I'm sending out a final judgment.
Okay.
Stealing FG.
Uh-huh.
Delaying the game, immediately running away.
Yeah.
Delaying the game for a little bit. Coming back to the next FG after hiding in my base with the one that I just stole.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Doing it again.
Okay.
And then
okay.
and then the game is even.
Maybe not even.
So my team's still down. If I steal 2 Fire Giants and delay the game for 10 minutes?
Yeah, I think so. Because if you're sitting inside your
Damn.
base the whole time.
Yeah, that's true. Man, you're just right. Yeah, this is brutal for Snake Hunters. Hey, you can send Wengu to one side of the map, get some pressure over on left.
That's actually really good for them.
Yeah, right. Look, you mentioned it. The decision has been made. Maybe you throw out an attempted steal if you're Czechio, but you're not going to win a
God,
fight.
where's it going?
Oh, my. That just feels mean. I don't. That didn't feel right.
Oh,
you know,
no.
that was a lot of damage, a whole lot of damage onto the Fire Giant, and that might have been one of the fastest FGs I've ever seen. And I'm not kidding. That was quick. When adapting is dealing that much damage, crits on crits on crits, we'll put the Fire Giant in the back pocket of all 5 members of Elysium. Can adapting show me how much damage he can crit for here? Oh my goodness, worst turtle. Will ultimate away.
No way. Don't do it. Okay.
You don't want him? I want him to do it.
No, because if adapting dies again,
Yeah.
that's going to effectively crush
Yeah.
their push potential
Look.
for like at least a minute.
God, the little bit of lifesteal that adapting has totally topped him off. Watch out. Big sonic boom over the horizon. Though, half HP are a couple members of Elysium. Left side Phoenix back to full. So the Snake Hunters, Myth, they're able to turtle up a little bit.
Yeah, it seems like Elysium are going to go ahead and head back to base and try and reset for this next push. Maybe work their way through mid or set up a split push. But in this next engagement, Worst Turtle will not have his beads available, and he needed both beads and ultimate to survive the aggression of adapting last time, and that was without the sonic boom. So if adapting's able to connect his ultimate onto the Loki in this next team fight, that could spell disaster for the Snake Hunters. I think in a situation like this, the Snake Hunters essentially have to just kind of bring their own aggression. Dive and try and pick a target, be it Angry, Spudio, or Adapting, and try and shut them down as quickly as possible. But Elysium, again, playing with their food, are split up all the way across the map. We got 2 in left, 2 in mid, 1 in right. And Adapting, as the solo agent, might take a 2v1.
Worst Turtle has hit level 20, and he has hit Angry like a truck. So the soul will have to leave some sustain, and by some I mean a lot of sustain for Angry here, so that health bar already topped off after taking down 1 of the camps on the back of the map for the Snake Hunters. Now it's the regroup from Elysium. Is that a major look that cleared the entire camp? That was pretty fun.
Yep.
Adapting, feeling just fine here. Yeah, I think Adapting can just split. You're winning any 1v1. If you have to send 2 to deal with Adapting, then the rest of the Snake Hunters are going to be lopsided in any other fight that they take here. So why not send somebody on all 3 Phoenixes? Worst Turtle maybe the choice here, but no beads, no blink, no ultimate for Worst Turtle. Adapting can take this fight seemingly at the drop of a hat whenever he should so choose. Major Look misses onto Worst Turtle, so the health bar safe on the Loki just for the moment. 1 Spectral Armor is all that the Snake Hunters got, and that's on Mecha Black. It doesn't seem like Adapting's been looking there for long. Nice root from Czechio, who's continued to be a bastion of hope for the Snake Hunters team. We'll get Angry down a bit low.
Mecha Black almost
There
connects
you
the
go.
pull on the other side. Worst Turtle tries to use his ultimate, but it takes the second tick to apply the stun, so Adapting just punches him out of it. Does cost him his beads and his blink, however, does maintain the sonic boom.
Yeah, I think he's worried about that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think so.
Whoa! Oh my goodness, that is a lot of damage from Czechio onto Angry, and I want this kill. I want it. Out he goes, but Adapting's here in mid. Show me a big crit. Nope, just the good old-fashioned auto attack. Czechio down. This might be the death throes of this game. Adapting walks forward. Aegis from Shadow. Save his life for a little bit. Double kill for Adapting, who is now 12, 2-2. Back onto the killing spree. Wengu doing some good damage. Boar flies in. Adapting has to dash away. Right side Phoenix stands. Mid does as well.
Wengu.
But not for much longer. Wengu jumped on Aegis on the other end, and Taram's got the last bit of damage. Mecha Black will fall here shortly, and so will the Snake Hunters. 25 minutes, game 2 to Elysium.
Yeah, that is another clean W for the boys in blue this time around. 25 minutes in, 21-10, and a what is that, 15,000 gold in the lead, just about in their favor. That was a convincing W, but I think, again, worth putting into perspective. This is a
Please, give me some
team that was
perspective.
struggling in the bracket inside of
Yep.
Snake Hunters, 1-6 coming into the set, now 1-7 for their efforts, and a completely new roster to boot, essentially
Yes.
up against a top of the bracket 6-1 Elysium, now 7-1. Look, man, it was going to be uphill either way.
Yep.
Unfortunately, you had to do it with your new team.
Right. Even the existing Snake Hunters roster that went into this matchup at 1-6 would have had a very hard time against Elysium.
Agreed.
Much less now that you've made roster changes. Maybe once some of these changes start to settle in a little bit, the Snake Hunters team starts to take it to the top half of the league here in the EU SCC. But it's not today. Elysium roll over Snake Hunters in 2 quick games. Miff and I will take a break, and we'll be back to break it down. And we are back after an Elysium victory And somehow victory feels like a bit of an understatement in this one. Elysium take game number 2 in about 25 minutes. They took game 1 in about 23 minutes. Elysium just came prepared today, and it felt like game 2. You got the mindset of adapting going into it. You saw crit as the first tier item picked up. That became a rage, and the rage got stacked like 2 minutes later.
Yep.
And the game was kind of over from the first few minutes.
Man, you stole literally every bit of the analysis I had.
Miff, what
for this
happened
segment.
here in game 2? I think
So
adapting
adapting,
had a pretty good mindset, right?
Yeah, he built Rage pretty early on, and he had it stacked pretty early on as well. Worth noting, though, that first gank he did have was around here. Finds, what was that, 2 crits back-to-back?
Oh, that
Essentially,
level
it
up.
was 0 stacked Rage. That level up might have legitimately saved his life as he gets stacking defense.
Crit.
A little bit more HP. Yeah, I mean, adapting, he's really good and apparently also incredibly lucky.
I don't know what build he had at that point. He hit, I think, every single one except for one. I will say,
Let's see.
Miff,
Crit.
I will say,
Crit.
we piled a
Crit.
lot.
Crit.
We piled a lot on this Opwash solo.
Crit.
It certainly didn't help, right? The Opwash solo,
Oh, no, not again.
but I'm not sure it hurt, right? I mean, I don't think the Opwash
Crit.
solo
Oh,
was
no
the
crit.
reason that Elysium won this game, but it definitely didn't help slow things down.
Yeah, I think that that it didn't help,
Right.
but it was not the sole reason they lost. Yeah, I'll agree. I can agree to everything you just said. I will say that going for something that cannot help is effectively costing you the game, though, at the same time, right? If you're removing one of your lanes, essentially, you also lose one of the main pillars of every single Smite composition, which is a frontliner. That's why generally it is Warriors or Guardians inside of the soul lane so that they can create space for your carries. And what kind of space is Opwash creating when he's putting out 8,900 damage? I'd argue not a lot.
Space for Elysium to
Oh, well,
push
hold
down
on.
the right side of the map.
He dropped Ann Ward.
And Ward.
And singular Ward.
That's just wrong.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, just making sure you know. Yeah, no, the Ray Shadow did create space on the Opwash, but it was largely for Elysium to run down the right side of the map throughout the game here. And so Elysium continue or try now to bounce back after a loss in a match or two ago, and now are able to do so up against the Snake Hunter, just what the doctor ordered for Elysium. The schedule has been updated, and we'll see what it looks like. We got a couple more matchups in the SCC here this weekend. We've got one more over in EU, and that is Goodnight Nick versus Just F6. Goodnight Nick, the team that dealt a loss to Elysium, worth looking at there, up against Just F6. And then on Saturday, that's tomorrow, Sturdy Artisans versus the Winter Dogs will be playing before the SPL. Both of those matchups prior to the SPL over the next 2 days. Elysium was already on top of the standings here, Mifflin, but remember, it was important for them to get this win because Team Joystick had caught up in wins at 6, and Elysium now widened that gap back up to 1 here with a win over the Snake Hunters, who fall down to 1-7. So Goodnight Nick, they have a matchup against Just F6. 4-3 can become 5-3. Just F6 could become 2-6 or down to 1-7 as well. So that's a pretty important matchup for Goodnight Nick to kind of compete for those top couple spots.
Yeah, Goodnight Nick needs that win, and that if they do succeed in taking that, we'll see parity towards the bottom of the leaderboard. Now, both bottom-seeded teams would be sitting at 1-7, but if that's not the case, and Goodnight Nick do lose, that would lock down just this squad as the bottom seed. So a lot of seeding implication in that next set.
And Mifflin, today is what, Friday? Is today Friday?
It is Friday.
Today's Friday. That means the SPL's back. Let's see what we've got in action this weekend in the SPL. Camelot Kings versus Solar Scarabs. Ooh, that's a fun one to start off this weekend. The Scarabs starting to play a lot better Smite. And have the Camelot Kings slipped up a little bit here, Mifflin? Find out this morning on the SPL. The Olympus Bolts versus the Jade Dragons in studio today. After our first matchup, our second match of the day, live in studio, Bolts versus Dragons, a team that we haven't seen in studio for a little while, but we're going to get to see it twice. Jade Dragons versus Atlantis Leviathans, I believe, also in studio. We've got some great ones. And Camelot Kings versus Titans to finish off the weekend.
Stacked week.
It was a crazy week. I think our first set of the weekend, Kings versus Scarabs, is a sneaky good matchup. The Kings probably go in favored just because of recency. But maybe because of that same recency, the Scarabs who have been playing really well and the Kings who, according to their own standards, maybe haven't been playing well, the first match I think could be some fun.
Yeah, the Solar Scarabs very quickly, off of last week's performance legitimately, have become one of my most anticipated teams to watch. I mean, the chatter on Twitter has been incredibly hype, inbound stating that he expects to finish very highly
true.
within the standings this year, or this phase rather, as well as also just legitimately looking better on play on field in that last set up against the Tartarus Titans. I'm very excited for this Scarab set. It might be the one I'm more anticipating today, and it's not even the one in studio. The other ones, they're going to be here.
How are you over the Bolts versus the Dragons? I think that speaks to how good the Scarabs have been playing. In that 3-set loss to the Titans, the Scarabs players figured they could have won all 3 of those games. And so very close matchup to start off this week. And that's it for the SCC. A stacked weekend of the SPL will be starting here shortly. But first, we got the SPL waiting room starting here in just a few minutes. You got a second to go grab a drink, go grab a snack. Come right back. SPL waiting room up next.